Welcome to the Discover Universal podcast. Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle. And watch your step on the moving walkway because we're taking you park to park to prepare you for your next visit. Let's Discover Universal.
My friends of Universal, welcome to the Discover Universal podcast.
Welcome, everybody.
Oh my gosh, I'm Kari.
I'm David.
And we are your hosts for this extravaganza that we are kicking off.
This auditory journey that we're going to be going on together.
Listen.
Through the worlds of Universal.
Yes. And here we are hosting the very first official Discover Universal podcast.
And it's so cool because we get to take all of our love and passion for the parks, all of our years of experience being here, going to the parks ourselves with our family and friends and loved ones, and do our best to try to share that with you guys,
Absolutely.
Our listeners.
Now, we have some, mission statements here. We want to share about all of our favorite things at Universal. So you're going to hear us, talk about our favorite rides, our favorite attractions, characters, experiences, food, drinks, everything. We're also going to help you plan your vacation. This is something of a planning podcast. So maybe if you've never been to Universal before, ever, you've never heard of it, or you come here all the time, there is something for everyone to plan their best vacation.
Yeah, we're going to try to give some really good tips, some really good recommendations. If you've never been to the parks, if you've been to the parks a ton, if you're a super fan, we hope we're going to have some fun that you guys are going to get to share along with as well. We've tried to throw some experiences into each episode as well.
Yeah.
So not only are we going to be talking about things in the parks, we're going to be going out and experiencing things in the parks.
Yes.
And
reigniting our
stuff gets wild.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy. And it's not just us. We're not experts by any means, but we are going to bring on some amazing guests that we get to interview. We get to pick their brains. Some really awesome, high-profile people that are out here that are just as big of fans as Universal as we are. We're really lucky to hang out with them.
From all aspects of the parks. We have some VIP tour guides, some people from Universal Creative, some people in entertainment and operations all over the parks sharing their really cool, unique perspectives and insider info.
Absolutely.
So this podcast is going to be covering Universal Parks and Resorts. That includes Universal Orlando Resort here in Orlando, Florida, where we are, but also Universal Studios Hollywood, the original studio park over there in LA. I've been many times. I lived over there for like almost a year.
Oh, you did? That's right. It's great. That backlot tour is awesome. Listen, David, you're a huge fan of Universal.
I am.
Yeah.
And so are you.
Yeah, exactly. Where did your fandom begin? Start from the
Real
beginning.
talk. Okay, real talk. So I grew up moving all over the place. My dad was in the military, but my grandma was from here.
Okay.
Orlando.
From Orlando.
Is here. I was born in Orlando. And so we would always come back and visit. And every time we came, I got to choose to go to a theme park, and I would always choose to go to Universal to ride the rides and go on the roller coasters. And so that's my first memories of Universal is coming here, going on the Dueling Dragons. That's I used to have the shirt and everything.
Oh, it's so good.
I know, it's great.
It's a really great attraction.
It is no longer here, but it was one of my favorites. And then years later, after I graduated college, after whole, life, that whole first half of my life. Yeah. I moved back here because I knew I wanted to perform.
Oh.
And this is a pretty good place to do it.
Very
here
much
at the theme parks. And so I was very lucky enough to be cast as a performer here at Universal Orlando. And I've been performing here ever since for the last 10 years now. Are you from the Central Florida area?
I am not. I'm originally from Ohio.
So how'd you get over here?
Man, like you said, there's so much life that happens in between. So I went to musical theater school in Ohio, and I graduated in 2009. And then I moved to New York, and I was in New York for 4 or 5 years and did some theater up there. And then I started working on cruise ships and performing, and they docked in Florida. And I was like, wow, this weather is really cool. I should come back and live here. And then I decided to go into performing full time. And, your choices really as a performer are like LA and New York. And I was like, well, what about Orlando? That could be cool. And I was able to find some full-time work down here. And that's where I decided to put my roots.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. So, David, speaking of our favorite rides, let's start now. This is as good a time as any.
Start dropping some of our faves.
Yeah. What would be your favorite attraction?
The first one that comes to mind is The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man.
Oh, you do like that one.
Over on Marvel Superhero Island.
Yep.
Universal's Islands of Adventure.
Why is it your favorite?
Well, I love superheroes.
Of course.
I love Spider-Man.
Yes.
And it's such a fun ride. It's such a great story.
Yeah.
It really there's really cool effects. It's a good mix of physical sets that you're going through, special effects, real fire, but then the stories on the screen and like
Yeah.
it's the motion simulator as well. It's just like a really cool mesh of all these different ride technologies that I guess most importantly just put you in the story. And that's
Yeah.
what ultimately is the most important thing, right? That you're in the story, you're engaged, you're immersed.
That's what Islands of Adventure is all about. And tune into our Islands of Adventure episode where you can hear more about the amazing adventures of Spider-Man, a really great ride, one of the original attractions that was at Universal's Islands of Adventure that opened in 1999.
What's one of your favorites?
Oh boy. Revenge of the Mummy. I love that ride. It holds up so well. It is, again, it's another way. You know, when people are like, what kind of ride is the Mummy? And you're like, it's a roller coaster. There's a character. There's so
Just
much.
say yes.
Yes.
What
The
kind of ride
answer
is it? Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
It is a ton of fun, and I'm a huge fan of the film franchise. So it has all those iconic characters. It's fun. It's funny. It uses comedy, of course. That was one of my favorite things about those movies. Again, tune into our Universal Studios Florida episode where you can hear us experience the Mummy.
Look at us covering all our bases.
I know.
I love it. So when we come to the park, you know, we've worked here for so long, and that's obviously one experience.
Yes,
But the benefit of that is we get to play at the park too.
we do.
And
I think
so-
it says a lot about us as Universal team members that when we're not at work, we're coming back to work to play.
Yeah.
That says a lot about how fun and amazing these parks are. As much time as we spend here, you know, sort of behind the scenes and backstage, we want to be out there on stage experiencing it like our guests as well.
I go to the parks all the time to ride the rides.
Yeah.
We come eat dinner at the park
Oh,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
We'll go to concerts at the
Yes.
park during our seasonal events.
Movies.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I know you love staying at the hotels.
Love it.
Doing little staycations.
Every vacation I have here in town, I'm always at a Universal property.
That's awesome.
I am so ready to get started. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for being fans of Universal and for just loving it as much as we do. So you can find us on Apple and Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, check out the Discover Universal blog, another really great way to plan your vacation and get some kind of insider information. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We are really excited for what this is going to do and really excited to engage all of our guests and fans.